Breaking news for you this morning, straight from the White House. No one is above the law. That's President Biden's message as he proposes massive new changes to the Supreme Court. The president releasing a major new reforms plan for the Supreme Court with details in an op-ed published in the Washington Post just about 30 minutes ago. The president says he will work with Congress to pass the major reforms, including imposing term limits for justices. Democratic lawmakers this morning now pushing to get the Supreme Court on the ballot in November. NewsNation's Tom Dempsey is in Washington, D.C. for us this morning with the breaking details on this sweeping new plan. Tom, good morning.
Hey, good morning, Brooke. Yeah, just about 30 minutes ago, President Joe Biden's team made public this announcement calling for significant reform with the Supreme Court, including pushing for term limits for the justices, where every 2 years, a president would appoint a justice to serve an 18-year term on the high court. The president's team saying that this proposed change would ensure that no president, any single president, can have undue influence on the court. Other proposed changes include the No One Is Above the Law amendment to the Constitution, which would limit immunity for former presidents and leave open the chance they could be prosecuted in federal court for crimes committed while in office. This comes after the Supreme Court earlier this month ruled that presidents have some immunity for official acts while in office in response to a challenge from former President Trump's legal team in the federal election interference case against him. President Biden's team also calling for a binding and enforceable code of conduct with the Supreme Court, requiring justices to disclose gifts, refrain from public political activity, and recuse themselves from cases if they or a spouse have a financial or conflict of interest with the case. In a statement, President Joe Biden saying, quote, "This nation was founded on a simple yet profound principle. No one is above the law. Not the president of the United States, not a justice on the Supreme Court of the United States. No one." And he goes on to say, quote, "What is happening now is not normal, and it undermines the public's confidence in the court's decisions, including those impacting personal freedoms. We now stand in a breach." The president's team saying they will work with Congress to pass these big changes for the Supreme Court. And we expect President Biden to talk more about these proposed changes during a stop in Texas later today to mark the 60th anniversary of the Civil Rights Act. Brooke?
Yeah, some strong words from the president in this op-ed, again released just moments ago, even calling one of the reforms he's proposing common sense. I think, Tom, a lot of people, as they're going to hear this breaking news this morning, are going to think about the timing of this announcement, right? It's pretty interesting, coming just over 3 months from the election and from a president who's already said he's not running for re-election.
Yeah, not a coincidence that this announcement is being announced less than 100 days before Election Day. And also keep in mind that some Democrats have been really pushing for changes on the Supreme Court, especially after that immunity ruling earlier this month with former President Donald Trump. Also very important to note, Justices Clarence Thomas and Samuel Alito have been at the center of some controversy on the court after last year when ProPublica reported describing Justice Thomas receiving undisclosed luxury vacations paid for by Republican megadonor Harlan Crow for 2 decades. Conservative activist Leonard Leo faces accusations of organizing a trip to a luxury fishing lodge in Alaska for Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito back in 2008, which he did not disclose. Alito also faced controversy earlier this year when a New York Times report described an upside-down American flag flying at his home soon after January 6, as well as an Appeal to Heaven flag last summer, which some participants on January 6 carried. So all these things likely playing a role into this announcement earlier this morning from the Biden team. Brooke?
The Biden administration and the president, for his part, not naming the justices or former President Donald Trump, but certainly alluding to all of them. All right, Tom Dempsey in D.C., thank you.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find News Nation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.